So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and I'm one of the team at the Lyme Disease Association of Australia. And I'm very privileged today to be spending some time with Nerida Mills, who is an Australian Lyme patient. And she's got a story to tell, and she's on a mission to help others with her story and beyond. So, Nerida, I mean, God bless you, and thank you for reaching out to us and wanting to share your story and then offer some hope to other Lyme patients. Welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So I think my experience of doing this for I think it's 12 or more years now is that people do get hope from other people's story and from other people's journey, and it's very much a community affair kind of situation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning. Who were you before you got sick? Let's start there.
I was a very adventurous, very righteous, obnoxious teenager. Right on time.
Of course.
Um, so I was actually traveling around the world and backpacking, and I had spent about 6 months living in California, and I stayed in California for a while longer, but um, now obviously hindsight is a wonderful thing, right? Piecing together all of the bits and pieces. So I did work at or I volunteered my time at a Riding for the Disabled stable. And so I was working with horses and definitely got bitten by a couple of horse flies. And where I was living was just south of San Jose, in a little place called Santa Cruz, in California. And then I left there to go and travel through Central America and arrived in Venezuela. And not long after arriving in Venezuela, so this would have been February, March 2002. And I noticed a patch of my hair was missing. And so this was my first symptom of Lyme. So I was
Mhm.
19, not far off my 20th birthday. By the time I had gotten through two countries, I had shaved my head. I shaved my head for the first time in San Jose in Costa Rica, because it was apparent that it was falling out. I had seen a doctor in Panama, and he mentioned that I had alopecia and that my hair would fall out for 3 months. It would be out for 3 months. It would grow back in 3 months, and I'd be done. And I was like, easy, I can handle that. Like, it's not a big deal. And so I didn't really think much more about it, to be perfectly honest. And it wasn't until it had gone through that cycle and started falling out again where I was like, oh, maybe there's something here. At the same time, I started having a lot of gut issues, but they were things that I could kind of dismiss based on the fact that I was traveling through Central America, and there's a lot of little bugs and things like that that you pick up along the way. But again, they really, even though I spent many years focused on my gut health, when I came back to Australia, really repopulating my microbiome and making sure that I was, doing all the right things in regards to those basics around health. I continued to have stomach issues. My hair continued to grow back and fall out and grow back and fall out, in patches. So it was never really completely in. And I had some significant issues with fatigue, was a big one, which again, I kind of was able to downplay because I was having babies. And I also got Ross River virus around that same time. And so I ended up spending the next 15 years really focused on my health because there was just these niggly things that just wouldn't go away. But I was very focused on my immune system. I was very focused on my gut health. I was very focused on my hormone health. And it was very frustrating because I was spending a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of energy on these things. And whilst I was at a functional level of living, it was definitely impacting. It was impacting the way that I could think and interact and the things that I could say yes to in regards
Mm.
to how much output that I could offer to my family. And so, yeah, it really significantly shifted, I guess, a big focus of mine, uh, from that really like nothing bothers me. I can do whatever I want. I can take on the world kind of attitude to hang on a second, there's some things that are well outside of my control. and I'm going to have to really lock in if I want to be at optimal health. And so I always saw my hair loss as a symptom of whether or not I was in balance in my body. And so I would have doctors say, you could just go on hormone replacement therapy. And this is at the time, like when the information around the correlation between hormone replacement therapy and cancer was well up there in the media, even though that has, supposedly been disproven and whatever. At the time, it was very front and center. And I was like, I do not have any desire to compromise my
Mm.
longevity for my hair, so I didn't do that. And then just people dismissing me. It's just stress. You need to calm down. You need to stop thinking about it so much. Stop talking about it so much. I was laughed out of doctors' surgeries for asking for blood tests
Mm.
because my hair would actually grow back when I was pregnant, which is quite interesting. And
Oh,
and so I wanted blood tests done whilst I was pregnant, and then blood tests done straight after when my hair started falling out to see what the difference in the hormones were. Um, so yeah, it's I had to start advocating for myself, is how I'll say it. I went from very carefree, nothing really matters, to quite frustrated with the system that wanted to tell me that I was insane for a
mm.
really long time. So it made me a little bit, I don't know what the right word is, despondent. I don't know, untrustworthy of the people who were supposed to care for you. Yeah, it was.
Tough journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really tough journey, and I had a couple of really hard lessons in that because I was really frustrated at the medical system. Obviously, I've swung into natural healing and natural medicine relatively quickly along that journey when modern medicine doesn't have any answers for you. But then my daughter got quite badly burnt, and so that was kind of life teaching me that it has its place too, because she needed that emergency care. But even still now, I find, like I went back to one of the doctors a couple of months ago that was treating me through the really intense period, which kicked in 2020. And when COVID kind of kicked in, some of the side effects for the vaccine were things that I was just overcoming and that had been extremely debilitating for me, and had seen me bedridden for a number of months. And so I went to speak to my doctor about my fears around the vaccine, re-instigating those symptoms. And like, I really did not want to go back into that state. And she literally laughed at me and told me that I was being a delicate little flower and that I needed to toughen up.
God.
And I was just like, so when I went back there, like I still get a physiological response from even being in that doctor's surgery because I just felt so dismissed and discounted. And it's brutal. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this, if you've got Lyme's disease, can relate, because unfortunately that's a very common
The
experience.
norm, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question properly, but that's the difference, I guess, from where I started to very quickly thereafter. And it's been obviously quite a long journey since then,
Mm.
of finding answers.
And how did you transition then to understanding that it would be a Lyme or a tick-borne or fly-borne disease?
So I started having neurological symptoms in 2013. I had my first bout of really severe chronic fatigue where I was wiped out, bedridden, in 2016. And then 2020, I had a second one, which was even worse. Um, and even though I had the chronic fatigue the first time, and I felt weak, it didn't affect my mind so much.
Mm.
In 2020, it really affected my mind. When it first hit me, it was like I literally got hit with a 10-foot pole. I thought I was having a stroke. And I was fit at this stage. Like I had been training for my black belt, I had been training for Rottnest Channel Swim, and just pushing through, right? Like, you get told you just got to push through. You've just got to keep on showing up. And, my dad was in the Navy when I was a kid, so even more so, like there are no excuses, just keep on pushing. Um, and so 2020, I got taught quite brutally that I had to stop pushing.
Mm.
that wasn't actually an option anymore. And so through 2020, I was trying to find answers. 2021, I was trying to find answers. And it wasn't until 2022 I finally found a doctor um, who was willing to do all of the blood tests again. I literally went with a folder, and I was like, this is what I've got. I'd really love another opinion. I was nearly at the point of giving up and just figuring out how to manage myself, and because I was just so sick of being told that I just needed to relax.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, and he said, "Look, I understand that you've done a lot, and but would you be willing to have a couple more tests?" And I said yes. So I was really lucky to find some co-infections, and then that there was the co-infections was the telltale sign for him to be able to then start looking at it deeper. So I did not have Lyme's on my radar at all. And then when the test came back that, yeah, I did have active Borrelia in the system, then the pieces started coming together. And it's so funny because my mum's husband is actually from San Jose in California. And when I told the family, they were all kind of like, oh, you were actually sick, like that's surprising. Like even the family had thought that, it was just this thing that Nerida does. And he was like, "Oh yeah, no. I mean, that whole area is completely rife with limes. It's really well known for like." And I'm like, "Dude, like you couldn't have told me this 20 years ago, But yeah, so apparently it's quite normal there, and it's interesting because I think if I had not traveled through Central America and I'd stayed in California and my hair had fallen out then, I mean, the GP would have cost a fortune to go to, I imagine. But if I had gone to a GP there, they probably would have got it. Yeah, because they would have known to look for it. But everywhere that I went, nobody knew to look for it. So, which
Mm.
is a huge part of the challenge, in my opinion, is that people aren't looking for it.
No, we're not. It's not part of the differential at all, is it?
No, and even after my diagnosis, when I was looking down the barrel of a third autoimmune condition diagnosis, um, I told the doctor, hey, just so you know, I've just been diagnosed with Lyme's disease. I'm not sure if this would be contributing to what's going on now. And he went, we can't even take that into consideration.
Hmm.
I went, right, okay, got it.
Did you clarify, just for curiosity, did you clarify that it was overseas acquired?
Yep,
Yeah. It's insane, isn't it? It's like
yep.
it's like being in an opposite world.
Yeah, it's very disappointing
Mm.
because I just think, there's so many people who are in so much pain physically and emotionally and mentally, who aren't able to, like I wasn't able to work for years. I wasn't able to look after my kids. Like that's hard. And I was a single mom. It's heartbreaking. And to think of, even from like, if you want to go from a business standpoint, governmental thinking, the amount of money that would be lost on people in a chronic ill state, like it doesn't
It
even
would
make
save
any
them. No,
sense. Do you
no.
know, they would save money by supporting people through um,
That's the recovery.
appropriate diagnosis and
Yeah.
treatment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you mind if I ask what co-infections you had?
Oh God, that's a fantastic question.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I had about 4 or 5 of them.
Was
Um,
Bartonella one of them?
sorry?
Do you remember Bartonella?
No, I don't remember
Okay.
Bartonella. I definitely had there was a lung condition. Oh God, I've got all of the tests. No,
Oh,
I don't
that's okay. That's
remember.
okay.
Yeah,
But it's, God bless your doctor that, picked up on those and then used that
absolutely.
to keep investigating, like that's,
Yes. Well, and honestly, like I'm very, very grateful. I have my partner, as I mentioned to you before, like we kind of made our own treatment protocol. And it was after a conversation that he had with me where he was like, we've got to like go in on this. Like you've got to really commit because I was just trying to manage because we had tried to attack the limes with herbs and I had a whole heap of Herx reaction real quick.
yeah.
And I just went whoa back. Like I can't go back there. Like yeah, I can't. Um, and so I took a step back and went, I've just got to manage this so that I stay functioning. And but with all of the extra autoimmune conditions, it was becoming debilitating again. And so he kind of went, we've got to sort this out. And but I don't know how I can help. And I said, well, how you can help is you can research because my brain's not functioning to the point where I can research and I can do that detailed work. And so it was really a lot of his work that actually got us the treatment protocol that was effective. And I'm fully aware of what it is like to be a single person in that experience. And now I'm very grateful to have the experience of having that support. And even that makes such a big difference as well. Because it's so hard to just think clearly, let alone do the research that's required to look beyond the mainstream information to find some form of hope that you can that you can build together. So it is, I mean, I think it really is a disease that requires community involvement to be able to move beyond. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that all the time in our inbox. I'm too sick to read this. I'm too sick, I can't understand this. I can't do this by myself. And, really nobody should have to do this journey by themselves. But it's a pretty dire situation in Australia.
Yeah.
So what's, mostly recovery like for you?
So I waited until I had some certainty around where my body was at through the second test in Germany. When that came back clear, then I started to rebuild again because I've tried to rebuild a number of times over the years, and it's so disheartening to, get 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks in, and be like, yes, I'm building strength, and then be flattened again. So I wanted to make sure that I could actually sustainably do it just for my own mental health. But I am retraining for the Rottnest Channel Swim. I did. I was training for that in 2020 when it got really bad, and I had to pull out a couple of weeks before the swim. So it was very disappointing. Instead of swimming over, I went over in a wheelchair, which was heartbreaking. So I am booked in to swim that little sucker in February. So I am very excited about that. I'm also doing like high intensity short burst training now. So I've done a lot of research around the types of training that is most ideal for a strong immune system. I've moved into perimenopause, so also looking at bone density health and making sure that we can optimize my aging body as well. So a lot of that is, high weights, small reps, that sort of stuff. So I'm going to the gym a couple of times a week. I'm swimming a couple of times a week. And then I tend to do some form of long walk or something, every now and
And
then.
it's part of it's a team affair, isn't it, to do the
Yes,
Rottnest
the
swim?
swim is I'm one of four. So I'll end up swimming, if the current is kind, we'll end up swimming about 5Ks each over the course of the day, but depending on weather conditions to what that is like realistically, yeah.
I was very impressed with the professional setup that they have. So I know that you felt inspired to use that as a fundraiser for the Lyme disease community. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I've, there was an opportunity to fundraise for an organization, and I actually, as I mentioned to you before, I didn't know that the Lyme Disease Association even existed. It wasn't mentioned by my doctor. I didn't have functionality to research when I was sick. And it's only since I've really regained a lot of the strength and mental ability that I've been able to now lock in and be like, okay, now how do I start helping people out of this? Because it is something that I think is unnecessary. I don't like unnecessary suffering. It's something that I'm
Yeah.
quite passionate about. I get, life is built with necessary suffering. That's okay. But the unnecessary stuff is just, it's insanity to me. So I really want to make sure that we're helping as many people as possible through that. And, I'm a big fan of if there's already something that's out there and available, let's just support that rather than trying to rebuild something from scratch. So yeah, I really like the work that you guys are doing around education and providing that support for people who do find you. So it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer for me. And my one of my teammates has been my friend for a number of years, and she's seen me through all of this, and she was actually a support person, one of the support people that I had for my kids through the time period as well. Because unfortunately they had lost their dad to suicide in 18, and then I got very sick in 2020. And so you can imagine for a child, it'd be very unsettling to, we now understand mortality intimately, and now I'm seeing my mum crumble. Like, it would have been terrifying for them. So one of the things that I was able to do with some funds that were raised from my community was to put it into some support for my kids, because again, there's nothing, there's
Mm.
nothing, there's no support for the kids of people who have chronic illness, and I was still a single mum at this time. So yeah, so she's been through all of it with me, and she's very excited to be swimming it along with me, and to be raising funds for the Limes Association as well. So I just think it's anything that we can do to bring awareness to the fact that it even exists in this country, I think is really important. And whilst I did contract overseas, I have met people through my journey who have
Mm.
contracted here in Australia,
Yeah.
and who have had really hard journeys. Some of them who have recovered, some of them who have not. And it, like I say, it's just insanity to me that there's not recognition from the medical association
Yeah.
of Lyme's. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be making some noise about that.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. Like, you're driven by unnecessary suffering. I'm driven by injustice. And what's happening is, my background, I was an ICU nurse. So to see the betrayal of medicine and healthcare system, just tens of thousands of people in Australia is just not okay. So what would you like to say to people? Like, obviously we'll be putting up a fundraising link, and I hesitate to ask our Lyme community to give funds, but you might know someone to share with your family and friends. And what
Yeah.
would you like to say to people listening today?
I would like to say don't give up. Don't give up hope. There are definitely forms of treatment that are really beneficial and successful. I found we needed to combine multiple treatments to get the results that we got. And I think that, people care more than you think they care, and are willing to help more than you think that they would. So a huge part of it is really, well, a huge part of my lesson in Limes has certainly been to allow for and to ask for support from people, and also to really prioritize myself above all else, and to prioritize my health, my boundaries, what I need in order to be at my best, because everything flows on from that anyway. So yeah, I'm more than happy to share, the treatment protocol that I went through with the community. I can put it down on a PDF for you if you like. And I just don't give up. Keep on going, and but with gentleness and love for yourself, rather than that hard, never give up kind of expectation. Um, it's been a process of embracing grace, in my opinion, because so much spaciousness is required in healing. And I think mm, we're taught that if we're not busy, we're not doing enough, and we're lazy, and the body needs rest to restore. So it's allowing for that rest and letting go of the stories of inadequacy that is part of that journey. So that we all experience. I think that's a big part of it, is recognizing that we all have that.
Awesome. And for us wheelchair warriors, how can we support you during the swim? Should we be sharing on, will there be socials that you'll be sharing with the LDA that we can help people pass on, or how can we
Yeah,
support
I
you?
can certainly be tagging you guys in it. At this stage, we're looking for a boat. So if anybody knows a boat and a skipper in Perth, Western Australia, I would really appreciate a contact. I'm sure it'll all work out, but that's our main priority right now. And then, of course, sharing the fundraising link with your community. I think it's a really beautiful opportunity, actually, to, really engage awareness around what individuals are dealing with as well, in a kind of, safe third party way.
Yeah.
And so, it might really be able to help you to open some new conversations with people in your local community as well. So yeah, if you're happy to do that, I certainly don't expect people who are going through Lyme's to donate. You know, I understand the financial pressure that you're already under, but yeah, if you are able to share that with community, that would be astounding.
Yeah, all Australians right now are one bite away from a life of disability and suffering, really. So it really needs something. It's a link arm moment, really, in our country, and that's what you're doing. And God bless you. Thank you so very much.
It's my pleasure.